Welcome to Diverse Orange, our conversations about diversity here in Central Florida. My guest today is Gisela Romero. Welcome, Gisela.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation.
Certainly. So let's find a little bit about you and your heritage. Where do you come from, or where is your heritage?
I come from Venezuela. I was born in Caracas, Venezuela, and I was raised there. And I came to the United States, specifically to Orlando, 60 years ago.
A long time ago.
6 years ago.
6 years ago. Okay. I was like, I don't think she's that old. Okay.
No,
So
6 years ago. I mean,
Caracas,
I lived my whole life in Venezuela.
right. And Caracas is a big city, so it was a very urban area.
Yes.
And what were you expecting when you thought about moving to Florida?
Well, at the beginning, I was thinking in going to Miami, but then I came to Orlando and I fell in love with Orlando, and I decided to stay here instead of going to a bigger city. I think that Orlando is a cosmopolitan city, and I loved it, and I stayed.
And uh, were you well versed in English before you came?
And was I interested?
Where did you speak English well?
Oh, no, no. The thing is that I came to have my master's degree in the United States. I went to California, to the California College of Arts, and then I went to for my master's degree in New York City. So it was inevitable to learn English for that. But then, of course, in Venezuela, we don't speak English. We never speak English. We only, but it's okay. I mean, when I came here 6 years ago, at the beginning was very difficult because I had to remember everything, and well, but that's okay. It's a very important thing to know the language when you are an immigrant in another country.
So you had other experiences in this country when you were in school, graduate school, um, both coasts, California, New York. So
Yes.
you definitely had enough experiences to kind of know what you were getting into when you moved here, right?
Yes, I knew it. I like Florida also because it's very close to Venezuela, and I needed to be a little closer for many reasons, for personal reasons. But yes, I knew New York very well, and I knew Berkeley in San Francisco. But I think that Orlando is a very beautiful city with a great weather and with a very rich cultural life, which was something that I was looking for.
If you can think back to your student days, um, how was it fitting in as coming from another country to those schools and those communities?
It was difficult the first time that I went to California because I didn't speak the language. Very little. I mean, the English that I had was from school, and at the beginning it was very funny because I mean the teacher said to us, "Well, you have to draw like I don't know, an elephant," and I was drawing something else. But the important thing was to draw. So I took my chances, and it was very difficult also because when you emigrate, it's not only the language, it's the culture. There are many things that are very different. You have to adapt yourself to a new way of thinking or doing things, and everything is different from the food to the new rules and way of doing things. For example, it was very funny at the beginning because people said to me, "Oh, you have to be here at 6 o'clock." And I was there in Venezuelan time, it's like 8 o'clock. more or less. So I had to learn to be on time and many things. I mean, for very little things to important things, you have to really learn things to enter the new culture. It's not only the language.
And why do you think that is that 6 o'clock means 8 o'clock in Venezuela?
Well, we have this special time. For example, not for a meeting. I mean, like a very professional meeting. But if you are invited for a party, people usually go after the time. I mean, to have this here, for example, the opening is going to be from 6 to 8. That doesn't work in Caracas. I mean, the opening is from maybe 6, but at 11 you are still there with your friends and having a good time. So it's different, but it's okay. The only thing that you have to do is to learn a little bit and be, noticing all these changes and try to belong to the new place.
Right. And your work is as an artist. So how does being an artist in Venezuela and being an artist here compare?
It's the same, basically the same thing, because you have the same structure, and you have a studio, you have a gallery who represents you, you have museums and places to show your work. But the thing is that when the regime that is already in Venezuela took everything, the museums and the galleries started to close, and that in that particular point of my life, to be an artist there was going to be very difficult. Right now, things are starting to change, and galleries are starting to open and have the beautiful cultural life that we had before. But when I decided to come here, it was very difficult to be an artist in action. So I decided to come here, and at the beginning it was difficult because I didn't know anything about what is happening here. I didn't know anybody. I started to apply to things. There are different things. For example, here you have to apply to something with a theme, with a concept. We don't have that in Venezuela. Other thing is that there are many galleries and many venues to show your work, and it's as important to show in a restaurant or to show in a good gallery. In Venezuela, the division is more is not important but big. So there are differences in the way the artists do and show the work, but at the end is, if you are asking is how I am as an artist are working in my process, is the same thing. And I'm very fortunate to have a studio here in Art History Museums of Mainland.
And do you find a difference in the patrons, the people who buy art?
Yes, but again, I have to talk about the Venezuela country that I lived, where we had many collectors and people that were buying a lot of pieces in the galleries and in the fairs, and with people that were interested in your pieces and went to the studio. Here is more difficult. This is what I have seen, that there are many venues and many places to show the work, but there are not many collectors and people buying pieces. This is my experience. Mm-hmm. There is a difference. I don't know why. Maybe it's because there are so many opportunities here to buy other things to put in your walls, or maybe it's because people need be more educated about the importance of investing in art. there could be many reasons.
Sure.
Yeah, but it's different. But of course, I'm talking about the Venezuela that we had, the good time that we had in the Venezuela that we had before.
Right. Well, Gisela, we're delighted that you chose to stay in Orlando instead of moving on to Miami. They've got enough people from South America in Miami. They don't need any more.
Thank you.
For being part of the art scene here as well. And
Thank you, Terry. Thank you.
And thank you all for watching this edition of Diverse Orange.